Welcome back to the Raising Our Vibration podcast, where we explore higher consciousness through spiritual practice. Today, Stephen and I are going to talk about releasing perennial doubt, especially as it relates to meditation practice and our experiences there. So by perennial, that means a doubt that is persistent. It seems to always be with you, no matter what you do in meditation practice. It's like this subtle felt sense that just keeps you from feeling like you get there or get it. And so this comes up as Stephen and I are guiding meditation, and it can come up in a couple different ways. One is people will say, well, I just don't get what you mean by that. I don't feel it. I don't. And then I feel bad because I don't get it. And I feel like I'm stopping myself, or I feel like I'll never get it. Just all this internal dialogue starts going in relation to the inner experience of meditation. So first I want to talk about what generates that internal dialogue. And it comes from having a conception of who we are, right? So if somebody asks us who we are, and we might describe roles we have or different qualities we identify with, or any number of things from our past. And our self-conception is really just a subconscious selection of selected moments in our past, and we're identifying with those moments, or things that someone told us in our past, and those are kind of lodged in there. And especially if they've been told to us in a situation that is traumatic or abusive, we might just hold these ideas about who we are related to that. So most of our conception of who we are is related to our past. We're taking out selective moments, or we're just selecting certain qualities and saying, oh, well, that's me. And then everything else we're setting aside or pushing aside or repressing and saying, well, that's not me. And when we repress something and say it's not me, then we'll project it out onto others. So if it's a quality, like somebody may look at Stephen and I in meditation and say, oh, well, you guys have been doing this for however long, and that applies to you, but it doesn't apply to me. So they might project these kind of idealized qualities outward rather than accepting and owning them in themselves. And likewise, qualities that we don't like, we repress, and then we project those out and say, oh, those bad guys out there, or we project them out on life and say, well, life is doing that to me. Okay, so this self-conception is really just an arbitrary amalgamation, a gathering together of just certain qualities, certain events, certain aspects of who we are, and a repression of other aspects. And so as we can let go of that, as we can release defining and identifying ourselves in those limiting ways, then we find ourselves open to whatever experience is coming through in the moment. And insofar as those conditioned aspects of ourselves come in and make us doubt, then we're, in a sense, blocked from having that experience in an open and present and flowing way. So that's kind of the mechanics of consciousness. And Stephen's going to talk about a little more about what happens in meditation practice specifically, and how we can release that and relate to our meditation practice in a different way, in an unconditioned, in an open way. And so Stephen, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. And love and blessings to everybody, wherever you are in this beautiful world. So, Kevin and I often talk about this, about perennial doubt, because a lot of the time, people that we teach and also people that come to visit us from other paths that have come from different traditions or different practices, and they often second guess their own practice, right? Did I feel this? Or should I be feeling this? Or what should I be feeling
What should I
according
be feeling? Right.
to the traditions, right? Or well, my brain waves on my whatever Muse headset say this, but from the books I've been reading, shouldn't I be showing this? So there's this very strong setup for us where we keep being drawn out of our felt experience, Kevin, and into our this subject object. Oh, okay, I should be feeling something else, or I should be experiencing something else, or my data. Especially, we're a very data-driven society at the moment. Um, my data should be showing something different, or even my data is showing something I don't even understand. I can't relate it to what I'm experiencing, and so what does that mean? So there's a lot of moving away from what's actually present. So I was in I've been in a lot of retreats with Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche, and also was in one last night with Mingyur Rinpoche, and the lamas often talk about this same one thing, that basically there's a view which you've spoken about, the openness, right? And so really what starts off in our practice is we actually have a natural effortless that is already present. We have a primordial beingness to our nature. But as you said, Kevin, because of a number of things, over analytical minds, or our childhood conditioning, or perhaps the company we keep, or perhaps lots and lots of influences, teachers have said, you don't know how to meditate, you do it like this, or you don't know how to do art, you paint like this, right? It's sort of similar. I often consider art and meditation very similarly, is that art's quite natural, and yet people have an idea of what it should look like. And meditation also, right? The ability to fundamentally relax and rest back. So you can do this as you're listening to me, right? And listening to Kevin, is you can just simply don't focus on the screen and just simply rest back, even physically, right? Because to begin with, this simple sense of natural ease and effortless has to begin with the body. And I remember I used to study with Brother Satyananda from Self-Realization Fellowship, and he just said, fundamentally, the most important thing is getting the body to relax. Because without the body being relaxed, the mind's going to be agitated. Right? So when we're looking at this perennial doubt, what we're really asking us is, well, what do we trust in ourselves? What are we really, where can we turn to within ourselves? What's the felt sensations that we really trust? And what's the quality of that? So last night, Mingyur Rinpoche was talking about this exact same thing, that quite often people, when they come to, say, a Buddhist path or a Christian path or a Hindu path or a Muslim path, say there's objects, right? God's an object, or meditation's an object, or prayer's an object. Things to start with, you learn techniques, you learn methods. And so there's quite a strong grabbing on to all the bits and pieces of the path. And in fact, without the right teachers right in the beginning, just like art, instead of saying to you, actually, that's beautiful, that's natural, go with what's most natural, you can be thrown this way and that way in all the supermarket shopping packages of spiritual paths that are around today, because there's every package out there. I mean, one of the wonders of our metaverse, our digital universe, is that we can access all these things. And then, of course, it's a challenge to this analytical mind comes in and says, okay, what's right? Which way should I go?
What's the right one? What should I do?
What should I do? And you look for guidance.
What should I feel?
And what should I feel? Right. And so Mingyur Rinpoche went back to the same basic, one of the teachings of Garab Dorje, which is that there are these three vital points. And the first one is that you know what your view is. And so in simple terms, just as you were saying, Kevin, it could be being open, just simply the quality of being open to what's present in your practice. So it doesn't mean that you don't do techniques. I was discussing this with somebody the other day saying, and she said, oh, what about technique, this technique or that? Isn't that kind of forcing, isn't that moving away from what's natural? And I said, well, if the foundation is to go with what's natural, then it doesn't matter whether you do a breath or whether you're doing Wim Hof or whether you're doing Kriya or whether you're not doing any technique at all. If you're actually really genuinely inquiring into what is natural and being open to that. So if you do a Wim Hof breathing technique and you're simply open to the energies that arise, then actually that fundamental quality of openness is there even then. Even though for many people, Wim Hof is like, oh my goodness, that's a real forced technique. Well, it is if you force it. But if you stay with this first basic principle of just simply being open, then it applies the same to life. Then you start to realize, oh, I can bring that openness to good things that happen in my life, and those things that I maybe tend to push away or have an aversion to, I can bring openness to that too. So in that sense, the techniques of meditation become your pointers that you can bring over into everyday life. And then the second vital point that Garab Dorje talked about was, and I marvel that this was written, more than over 1,000 years ago. I mean, it's quite an old text, an old Dzogchen text. And the second point he said was that you've got to know you're indivisible from that openness, from that felt sense of openness. Now, so Mingyur Rinpoche and Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche both really reinforce that it's not about the stillness itself or the silence or the spaciousness as an object. Because what we can do, right, is we can kind of sit and develop this technique. Okay, I'm really, really still. But there's still this subject and object, right? I'm being still. Or, oh, I'm the spaciousness. But there's still that subtle subject object. You haven't yet just let go, which was what I was talking about in the beginning, and relaxed back into the felt sense of spaciousness. So, and Mingyur Rinpoche really reinforced this. He said it's simply about feeling the openness and relaxing into that and resting in that and knowing that that is actually your primordial being. And Muji always talks about the same thing. What a remarkable opportunity just to rest as this tranquil feeling or this peaceful feeling. So then the third part, the third vital word. So the first one is this openness. The second one is this indivisibility, that there's just one thing. You are that felt quality of, let's go to the feeling of spaciousness. You literally are that, because in that moment, there's nothing else, right? There is only that felt sense of spaciousness. And then the third vital point is the one that addresses what we're speaking to today, is about perennial doubt. And what Garab Dorje said is that once we've gone through the view and we recognize our true nature, which is this openness, this vastness, and then we go through the actual meditation practice itself, which is you practice on this openness and this feeling, this sensation of spaciousness, and you recognize, you actually decide on one point, you're indivisible from that. Because in fact, when you rest back and you feel into that, then you literally are there. You're not separate from it. What often happens to people, Kevin, we talked about this before too, is that you come out of the meditation and go, oh, okay, was that it? Am I feeling that? Or even am I feeling it right? Yes, you are feeling
or
it right.
What was that? Right? Even like you feel it, or and absorb, feel it, rest as it, and then come out, and instantly the narrative self and the analytical mind comes online and says, oh, what was that? Was that the right thing? Is that what I'm supposed to be feeling?
Exactly that. Is it so when you don't second guess yourself and you just rest back, so you start to feel that open sense. So you can do this now. Kevin has done this so naturally. I use Kevin's example. Maybe you could do this for a moment, Kevin. talk about the best felt sense cue of spaciousness for you, and for example, the desert? Because I think every time you kind of just talk a little bit about that, people actually feel that. I want people to feel in, because this is the third vital point, right? Is actually developing confidence in the felt sense of this view, this open, vast spaciousness that you're never separate from. So how would you best describe it if people are trying to go, okay, well, I've heard this sense, this felt sense of spaciousness, but how do I access it? How would you describe feeling that?
Yeah, well, you could approach it in a couple of different ways. One is to feel a local space first, right? Just feel, say, the space inside your hands, just feeling your hands and your arms, and feeling the space of your neck and shoulders and head and your torso. You can feel the space inside your body, all the different spaces down through your abdomen, your lower back. You can feel this localized space in your legs and your feet. And you can feel this whole space of the body. And then you can sense your skin. It's kind of a permeable boundary of this whole space of the body. And feel the air on your skin. Feel the air, the space of the air around you, touching your skin. Feel the space of your room. It's like when you come into an empty room, you can feel the space of that room. So feel the space of your room now. And then just allow the walls to dissolve and feel wider space, like the space of the sky. And you're looking up and looking out at the sky as I did in the desert. I just gazed at the sky, that open, clear space of the sky, and until I was the sky. Feel you are the sky. Feel that openness, that clarity, that luminosity, that boundless feeling of the sky. And you can feel this. You can feel what the sky is like. And as you have that sense of boundless space, you can just notice anything in the space, like a cloud floating through the sky. You can feel the sky. You can feel anything coming into that open sky, like a thought, a feeling. And you can feel the vast clarity beyond and behind all that. So you can feel this openness, this vast openness, boundless openness. As you feel this vast, boundless openness, notice the mind is quiet. As if the mind is just dissolved and there's simply a vast open space of awareness. Within this vast open space of awareness, you can localize and feel the space of your body within the vast space. You can feel the presence of your body and the presence of the vast space as interchangeable. And you can localize back into feeling your hands, feeling your head and shoulders, your torso, your legs and feet. We're just localizing vast awareness, feeling, having a felt sense of localized space. And so as Stephen continues, just see if you can just rest as this vast openness and just allow Stephen's words to arise within, from, and as that openness.
So just as Kevin guided you, this is actually the guidance of all these ancient traditions, that is to rest as this vastness. And if you were to summarize the essence of all these ancient teachings, like Dzogchen or Mahamudra or the great mystical practices, it's just simply to gain confidence in this already existing liberation or freedom or vastness. So as you feel this, when you bring this simple felt sense of vastness present, when you're just present, simply present to this vastness. And as Kevin guided you, you can localize it. And it can also be vast. It's still space. It's still this felt sense of spaciousness. If you feel into the spaciousness in your feet, for example, it's still spacious. There's still a felt sense of this openness, which has no boundary or edge or limit. And if you feel beyond the body into this felt sensation of spaciousness and vastness, there's no edge or limit or boundary. So when you bring this ultimate sense to your path and trust in it, gain confidence in it, just as Kevin's been doing, guiding you back again and again, localize it, surrender to it. Then the source of any delusion collapses, because there's just this felt sense, there's just this presence of this felt sense, spacious vastness. And then, just as Kevin described about localizing this felt sense of spacious vastness into the body, into the actions of the body, into the feelings in the body. And it starts with the body. You need to learn how to localize it in the body. And remain or stay or relax into that felt sense of vastness and tranquility and peace. Then, if you stay with that feeling of vastness, this felt sense in your hands, just as Kevin said, this, you feel into this spaciousness in your hands. Try moving the hands just a little so that they move up, right? That you remain, that you stay, you're relaxed in this felt sense of vastness, of vast spaciousness, and you can move, right? There's movement from this spaciousness. And in the same way, because you've anchored this felt sense in the body, then notice your speech. Because you'll be listening to this, try saying something very simple like, I am, or very simple sentence like, I am peace, or peace. Even a simple word like calm, or happiness, or peace. Notice what happens when you speak with presence. When you speak from that vast spaciousness. Right? So you're developing confidence in this one thing, in this indivisibility. And it's the same when thoughts arise. Right? So try generating a thought just while you're listening. A neutral thought, just perhaps of something you're planning for your day or that you've already done in your day. Maybe just eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Notice when the mind acts from vast spaciousness. Might even feel like there's more spaciousness to your thoughts. Almost as if you're completely open to whatever thought arises. Try letting a sticky thought, maybe something you're not looking forward to, or even maybe a little frustration you had today. Just a little one. Might have been something that didn't work, or you didn't make an appointment on time, or the phone rang when you were busy doing something. Just let that arise too, from this vast spaciousness. Notice how there's a lot of openness to this thought. Perhaps you even feel it arise in a different way than it ever has before. And then let that go and allow a positive thought of something you're looking forward to doing arise from this spaciousness, from this vast spaciousness. Again, just notice it arises easily, naturally. Whether the thought's a bit sticky, or whether it's positive, or whether it's neutral, they all just arise. They're all embraced with this allowing, this openness, this vast spaciousness. It's like the thoughts have more space to move and feel. you can almost feel them, like sort of the thoughts are in a big open field or in a big open sky or in a vast ocean. They've got room to fly or feel or swim. And then just let go of that. And just rest in the tranquility and openness. Rest in the vast spaciousness. Garib Dorje described this as like adding medicine to water. So if you add medicine to water, the water has that medicinal property. It embraces, it nurtures. And he said if you add poison to the water, well then no matter what water you drink, it's going to have that element of poison to it. So if the source of all your actions of body and speech and mind are from this vast spaciousness, then you can feel how vast and spacious your actions and speech and thoughts and feelings can be. And if you live from a place of frustration or tension or anger, or aversion or separation, then that's what's going to saturate your body actions and your words and your thoughts and feelings. So when we bring this vast spaciousness, this peace and tranquility, this felt sense of calm, happiness, we'll only ever derive benefit from any action of our body, our speech, or our mind. Nothing will cause us any trouble at all. There's a lot of vast space. It feels very, very obvious, doesn't it? You can feel the vastness and the spaciousness.
Yeah, so it's really this openness that is the key, right? It's not the technique or the state or the object. It's this openness and allowing and full acceptance that we bring to any technique, to any object of meditation. That's the key. It's this openness, this allowing, this acceptance that then permeates the whole field of perception and everything that arises. And then the experiences that arise in meditation are experienced in all the variety of felt qualities. And there's no doubt, because there's simply openness and felt qualities of experience. We're not analyzing them. We're simply being open and sensing and feeling and allowing and using techniques and focal objects as a skillful means, but always with this openness and allowing and acceptance.
Beautifully said, Kevin. I think that's a beautiful point on which to rest.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you too, Kevin. And thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you all for your practice. Thank you for engaging with us here. And if you're interested in learning more about subtle energy meditation, including our Raising Our Vibration community and the different offerings we have, the ROV meditation app, you can visit raisingourvibration.net. We'd love to have you contact us through there. Peace and blessings. Bye for now.